Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to another episode of Lost in Our 40s, a podcast for women by women, where we talk about how to find and chart our way back to our true selves. Music by Atemi Oyungu. Welcome. Welcome to today's session. Today we are talking about resistance. So, I have a couple of stories to illustrate the points I have today. Resistance is refusing to accept things as they are, trying to fight within ourselves, resisting, trying to fight what it is that is unfolding, even when it's something that we cannot change. So it's this internal struggle that we at times get into when living our day-to-day lives. And I'll illustrate in two ways. I'll start. This actually dawned on me this week. I was at the dentist. Well, not dawned on me. The idea for this podcast dawned on me this week because I was at the dentist. So I have gum disease. So they keep cleaning out my gums, and no, not a very pretty story there, but this is where it came out because I went to the dentist, and what they do is that they need to numb it. So it's an injection to numb the area to get into the gums, because that's what they actually do. It's removing, what do they call it? They call it two-stone. I had never heard that word. So the calcification. So it's this hardening that is as hard as your tooth. So it spreads around your gums. But anyway, that's not the point of this story. The point of this story is this, that I remember the last time I was there last year for the same procedure. And whenever I've gone to the dentist, if I'm honest, I fear it. It's scary. And I learned that there's actually like there's a phobia for dentists. Like it has a real name and it's a real phobia. So clearly I was in good company. But then this time when I went, when I was seated in that chair and they were, fixing their drills and getting things started. Well, actually, one of the things I've done is that I never look at the equipment, because then I think if I look at the equipment and this is real, I shall become even more scared in my head before the whole procedure starts. But then this time I approached it differently. I've been doing a lot of inner work. Inner work is this self-developmental work, the search for self, if I put it that way. These activities, like the ones I sometimes give out in the podcast, these small steps and activities that help you reconnect to yourself and get to know yourself better, and to reconnect with your higher power, your God, your source, spirit, your higher self. So these things, like the prompts, like the journal prompts, the stopping and considering things, trying to question my beliefs. So that's the kind of work I've been doing. It's a journey I've been on for some time now. So I brought my inner work into the dentist's office. So what I did differently now, because when I get into that seat, I clench up. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is going to be so painful. This is going to be, I can't wait for this session to be over. The pain is going to be so much. And then I paused. I asked myself, do you think it's going to be painful? And I said yes. Then I said, okay, fine. We know it's going to be painful. Okay. Why are you clenching? Is it painful now? So this is from the moment of walking into that I don't know why I'm thirsty now. I feel like I need to clear my throat. Yeah. So from the moment of walking into the dentist office, moving towards the chair. In fact, my dentist is so talkative. I don't know why they talk so much. Like that is the one job you should not have if you want the people you're talking to respond. But anyway, because your mouth is all open and they're doing things in there. But anyway, so I took a different step and I said, why not be in your body, feel what is going to happen? You know it shall be painful. Accept the pain when it comes. And I felt like a ninja, so zen. Like, this is something I heard someone saying, like a monk. I'd once watched a documentary. I don't know if I want to say the documentary was about happiness, but I don't think it was. I think it was about feelings. Feelings. But anyway, he had said exactly that you should accept pain and you should look forward to it. And I had thought he was crazy. What does that mean? How does anyone look forward to pain? How does anyone, say, come on, bring it on? I'm curious to see. But this is actually what happened. My mind turned curious, and I'm not even lying. This is a true story. My mind turned curious, and then I sat in the experience. And this is what I want to say. I've been doing a course on introduction to psychology. And part of what they teach in that course is that the brain has different, how do they put it? Like, there are different spaces in the brain that are for sensing different things. There's more space, I think that's how I should put it. There's more space created in the brain for sensing different parts of the body. And the example they use there is that your elbow versus your lip. So he says if you pinch your elbow, you probably hardly feel anything. And if you pinch your lip, it's going to be much more painful. The sensations are not the same. And he said that's because the different parts of your body have different, there are different number of nerves, if I put it that way. The brain is not going to be as focused, hasn't put so much attention on the pain that your elbow will feel, because that place doesn't need to be as sensitive as your lips. So what I discovered when I turned my mind into curiosity is that the back, because that's why they started with the injection for the numbing, for the pain killing. What do you call that? The anesthetic, I guess. So they started at the back, and I noticed that I could hardly feel the injection at the back. That one I could hardly feel. But as they moved towards the front, then that became much more painful, and I could feel it. But now, because I wasn't overacting my whole body, I was no longer tensed. I wasn't overreaching with my whole body to try and push away this intense feeling of pain that is going to come. The experience then was very different. And I thought, that is interesting. And there was pain. I noticed that I was less scared and more curious. I noticed that the things that disturbed me about the dentist is the sound of the drill. And then I wondered why. Why is the sound of the drill so disturbing? And the only thing that came to my mind at the time, now I'm just telling you stories. The only thing that came to my mind at the time was I used to watch, I don't know if they still come, but there used to be all these programs on TV about people who've been abducted by aliens. And the thing that's always shown there is aliens standing over them, little grey men standing over them with drills. And I think that's what a lot of them say. They could hear the sound of the drill and stuff like that. So I wondered if that's the association that my mind had created with the drill. Yeah. And the other thing I also noticed is when they were working on the teeth, it felt, because it's a really strange thing. It's this, the things that they're doing, because remember I said that they're trying to remove this calcification. So it feels unnatural, if that makes sense. What they're doing in my mouth feels like it shouldn't be done. So my mind is sending messages to me on how I should feel. That I should feel, first of all, pain. But because now we're on anesthetic, what pain are you feeling? It's been numbed. There's no reason to cringe on that effect. But that I should, that this is, it's just wrong. That I should feel repulsed, I think, is part of it. So then I was just having this ongoing conversation with myself of repulsed. Why would you feel repulsed? The drill. What is it about the drill? So then this made it a much more curious engagement. And this for me is like life-changing. That the effects of inner work. Because now then I have a couple of sessions still with the dentist. But now my approach would be very different, because now I'm more open minded, I think is the way to put it. Open minded in the sense that my mind is no longer going to the safe spaces. That's not the right way to put it. So we say that we make these, they're called what? Neural pathways, that our brain, once it has been taught that you can move, that when this happens, we feel this. The brain is very busy. It doesn't have that much time to just keep trying and experiencing things again and again. We store it. I am sure I'm explaining it very badly, but an explanation for that is that once you've made a certain connection, that is what is stored. That there shouldn't, anyone doing strange things in your mouth must be painful. But now that I have consciously brought myself to the realization that that need not be so, then what I'm doing is creating new neural pathways, in that now my mind is realizing that A must not lead to B. It might possibly lead to K, that there can be different things that amount from it. And what that does is it broadens my experience. Fine at the dentist. But there you go. That is already living and doing things a little differently. So, if you've been, I'll give you another example. And this one crossed me, it just hit me one day. So, I live in Sweden. So, I live in Europe, and the winters here are cold. And there's a day I was just walking, chattering. My teeth were chattering. It was so cold. I was feeling unhappy. I was, my shoulders hinged up, trying to cover myself up, and just thinking, when will I ever get home? It's so cold. This is so terrible, so terrible. Then I stopped and I asked myself, can you feel the cold? I literally stopped on the street and I asked myself, can you feel the cold? Because I'm dressed in winter clothes. So, I have all the gear that's necessary for the season. So I asked myself, can you feel the cold? And I did. So what I did now is remove my consciousness or awareness from my head and go into my body to try and understand, to feel, actually, not to try to understand. So moving away from thinking, because I was thinking it was cold, because my experience is that when it looks like this, it is cold. But how is my body actually feeling? So removing my awareness from my mind into my body, and my body was quite fine. Because as I said, I was dressed for the cold. The only part of me that was cold was my face. And then with that, I realized that then I don't then need to hunch up my shoulders. My neck is not cold. I was wearing gloves. My hands are not cold. So again, it's the same example of not living the experience, but living the story we have in our minds. Well, I should speak for myself because this is my story. Living the story I have in my mind of the experience. And to give you just one last example of this, I was having a conversation with someone, and we're talking about the fog. And she was talking about how beautiful the fog was against the background of, I think, the water. And I really tried to put my mind there. Then I told her that no, I cannot have fog and beautiful in the same sentence, because where I'm from, if it's foggy, it's cold. It's very, very cold. And the cold is never a good experience. But you see, that was me already learning that this is my this is the, do I call it the training? This is the messaging. Nah, is that the right word? This is what my mind knows. So this is the experience. This is the lived experience that I have, that has taught my mind that this is what you can expect. A plus a 1 plus 1 is equals 2 always. Perhaps that's really the wrong example. So let's see, when you move from A to B, when you have A, you're going to go to B. That's a better example. So this is to show that in stopping to look at the things that we believe, actually all our beliefs, stopping to ask ourselves, why do I believe this? Why does the sound of the drill disturb me? And there's no reason it shouldn't disturb me, but it's just trying to understand where's the genesis of that thought, and then ask myself, do I want to keep it? Now, living in this country, if I would believe that whenever the temperatures drop, I shall feel cold regardless of what I wear, then I'd never leave the house. Yeah. So having that conversation with myself to say that, look, this is a way of thinking that needs to change. And actually, even more importantly, moving out of thinking and into the body, from thinking to experiencing, not thinking about how we feel, but actually feeling how we feel. So, a quick story I wanted to share with you. So, maybe a challenge to you. A challenge to you as you go through your days to do exactly that, to question the automatic responses that the mind goes to. I was reading The Emotion Code. That's a really, really good book. And I'm doing this week, that's the book review. If you want to read the book review, lostinourforties.com, that's where all that is. And I wrote the blog post this week is about a very interesting experience that I had at Gothenburg about AI and yoiking. Yoiking is a kind of musical expression by the Sami people here in Sweden. So it's about culture and being torn away from culture and then moving on from there. So that's in the blog, lostinourfooties.com. Go check it out if you like. But that's not what was I going to say. I was going to say something about, because you're meant to be talking about resistance. Yeah, I'm telling you stories. So on resistance, on resistance, I wanted to use this example, the example of my experience at the dentist, to show that it is possible to overcome resistance. That it is Eckhart Tolle who says that resistance is pointless. It's pointless because if he says, I think three things. If you find yourself in a situation that you do not like, the three possibilities are you change it, you change it, or you. Are they just two? I thought there was a third one. You change it, you accept it. Maybe they're just two. So, assuming that I think that the dentist is a terrible place, I don't go. If in my mind I think that is the worst thing that can ever happen to me, then don't go to the dentist. That is an alternative that's available to you. And if you do go, then you accept. You do what you can to accept the situation as it is, the situation around you, which is now what I was trying to practice, which is what I practiced actually. I wasn't trying. It's what I did. If I accepted the fact that there would be pain. It's a given, it's a dentist. There would be pain. If nothing else, if it's only the pain of the initial injections, and so be it. But then I knew that would be there. And then just let it unfold. So I am now trying to, I think I have been trying to push that into my life. But this is when I first saw it actually working to the extent that I can see that I moved from this state to that. So try it in small things. When you are about to open your mind and complain, like the example, I don't know who gives the example of the weather, that complaining about the weather, I think they all do. A lot of these authors talk about complaints about the weather is like, but why? Do we want to spend our precious time talking about how the sun is shining, the sun is not shining, it is snowing, it is not snowing, it is raining, it is not raining, as if our comments about it will make any difference. They might dampen our own moods. Oh, look, it is raining. How terrible. Like that has anything to do with us. Or like that helps the situation in any way. So that's what they mean about that is resistance. You're resisting the fact that it's raining. The fact that it's raining is the fact that it's raining. So instead of resisting, the idea is do something about it. Wear the appropriate clothes or stay indoors or do something, So that was the learning. So, and I've mentioned the emotion code because I wanted to talk about, it talks about how we have blockers. We have things happen to us over time, and it could be that there are certain times when we do not want them to happen, again, some kind of resistance. And because of that, we might not allow the emotion to flow through us. And if we do that, then the emotion could get stuck within us. And he says, for all humanity, we all have emotions that are stuck within us. And then the Dr. Bradley Nelson is his name, then gives guidance and ideas on how to, not guidance and ideas, he gives real life practical tools on how to get these emotions out of us through conversations with the subconscious. So if you're interested in that, it's a really good book. I really like it. I think these are the kind of books that like should be mandatory reading, because you just learn so much. Then the idea is that if you don't get the emotions out of the system, different things could happen, including disease. That it stays there for so long that you become, you might get like an inflammation or something like that, because emotions, they reside within the body. So if the emotion has gone to your little finger and then suddenly your little finger is numb, you can't move it, that is, and I mean, that's maybe a silly example, but bigger things could happen. So that's the idea behind emotions. And of course, because they also color your perspective on life. If in everything that you do, if you have these emotions that were never released, then you might see the world through the glasses that emotions have, that those emotions have provided for you. Yeah. I highly appreciate you spending time with me. Thank you so very much for joining me in this episode. And give it a try. Give it a try to resist resistance. Have a great day. Thank you, gorgeous. Bye-bye. Music by Atemi Oyungu. Content and production by me, Shiro. Get in touch at lostinourforties.com.